morning and welcome to W Talk, always interesting. And today we are talking about another very interesting topic. We are talking about women in sailing, limitless inspiration, and with us, our guest, Yang Mulia, Tunku Soraya, Dakhlah, Tunku Tan Sri Abdullah, who's the rear Commodore of the Royal Langkawi Yacht Club and also the organizing chairperson of the Royal Langkawi International Regatta 2025. Welcome and always a pleasure to have you here, Tunku. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having us here.
All right, so we have a very interesting topic today. Let's start off with this one. What has inspired you to take up sailing and how has it shaped your journey so far?
Well, I think I was very lucky in the sense that I grew up for a large part of my youth in New Zealand, and my stepfather, my late stepfather, was an avid sailor, and he and his brother used to build sailboats as a hobby. And so every summer I would be off on the waves and sailing and spending weeks at a time on the sea. And so I was very lucky to have grown up in that experience. So I never had the fear of sailing. Was very used to being on a boat all my life.
Never had the fear of the sea at all?
No.
All right. That's wonderful because I am deadly afraid of the sea at times. And let's talk about individuals, right? People that have shaped your journey so far. Are there any specific individuals or even athletes in sailing who have greatly influenced or motivated you and your journey?
I think for my generation, one of the stellar athletes in sailing was Ellen MacArthur, and her journey was inspirational. And she's written some books about her solo around the world, hugely motivational. But what's great now in Malaysia is that we're seeing a new breed of young female sailors. So when I was more actively involved in sailing, we had Tiffany Koo. She sails out of Hong Kong these days. Of course, very well-known name in sailing in Malaysia is Nur Shazrin Muhammad Latif. She has been in the SEA Games, she's been in the Olympics, great young sailor. Another well-known name in sailing, but a male, is Khairul Nizam Effendi. But his two sisters, Khairul into the sailing community and doing exceptionally well, and very proud to have them at the regatta and very proud to have them representing Malaysia.
Always wonderful to have our people there, and they're really making name, as you said already, in Sukma Sea as well as the Olympics. Now, this is a question that I think this would be quite personal to you. Have you encountered stereotypes or cultural challenges as a woman in this sport? And if so, how did you beat it or overcome them?
To be honest, I don't think I have encountered any kind of stereotypes. I think sailing has always been one of those all-encompassing sports that has always attracted a very diverse crowd, not only in terms of financially diverse, but in age groups, whether they're male or female. Women have always been actively involved in sailing, in my experience. What we have seen, which I really love to see, is more and more Malaysian women coming to the regatta, participating. And I don't think there are the stereotypes. I think the only stereotype in Malaysia is, as you have mentioned, people's fear of the sea.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of Malaysians, I think, are not avid swimmers. They are worried about falling in and not being able to survive. So I think it's the sea that has people have been afraid of rather than the actual sport of sailing. And as we're seeing more and more people coming into the sport, it's really wonderful to see. It's really wonderful to see the growth in the sailing community.
All right. And do you believe that there's adequate support from the government or sports organizations for women sailors and focusing on Malaysia?
I think if you'd asked me this question 10, 15 years ago, I would have said no. But we have really come forward in leaps and bounds, and we have more participation in sailing in all categories, in all the games around the world and other competitions. Of course, I always think that, sailing I'm an avid sportsman and this is my field. This is what I do. And I think there's always room for improvement. But I think we're doing well. We've come a long way in the last 10, 15 years.
So the growth is visible?
It is visible.
All right. And what we're going to do right now, Tunku, we're going to take a short break. We're going to be listening to a song that you like, which is Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure. Have you been under pressure in sailing?
Not recently.
Not recently. All right, we're going to be right back. We are currently speaking to the rear Commodore of Royal Langkawi Yacht Club and Royal Langkawi International Regatta 2025's organizing chairperson, Yang Mulia Tunku Soraya Dakhlah. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. TRAXXfm. This is W Talk. Today we are talking about women in sailing, limitless inspiration, and a very fun topic today. And we are talking to young Malia, Tunku Soraya Dakhlah, and she's the rear Commodore of Royal Langkawi Yacht Club and Royal Langkawi International Regatta 2025's organizing chairperson, happening very, very soon. Now we'll be talking about some of that in just about a bit. Tunku, what are some of the essential skills and training required to excel in competitive sailing?
It's the same for any sport, and in fact, anything in life. Hard work and dedication. I think with these two things, and with really making sure that you're optimizing your training, optimizing your true potential, and this is for every aspect of life, and that is how you can have that competitive edge and excel in anything.
Does talent come into play anywhere?
I think in all aspects of life, there's certain people who have certain talents. For example, you as a DJ has a talent for speaking. Many other people don't. They'll be shy in front of a microphone.
True.
So I think there is an element of talent in everything we do.
That is true. Very well said. All right. Now, what has been the most rewarding moment or achievement of your sailing career?
I think for me, it's my father had the dream of creating the Regatta and the Yacht Club to promote sailing in Malaysia and in the region as a whole, and introduce specifically Langkawi, the waters of the Langkawi, to the greater sailing community. And watching his vision come to life through the regattas, through this our now 21st regatta, watching how it's developed and grown, watching how the number of young people have come into the sport, young Malaysians, but not just young Malaysians, from Singapore, from Hong Kong, from all over the region, and the greater participation in the sports class, which is where we see a lot of the young sailors, but also watching those young sailors transitioning to the international racing class boats and beyond. I mean, I think that he would be very proud of how we've grown the regatta.
So it is the legacy that he has left behind. That is what you're most proud of.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And in your view, sailing, how can it help women develop confidence and leadership qualities?
I think when you're in a kind of sport and you're in a kind of environment where the natural elements are what you're working with, and learning how to harness them and learning how to adapt to them, it creates an affinity in a way with everything around you, and learning how the wind is going to affect your sails, learning how the tides are going to affect it. These are all natural elements that you're learning to not harness but to use to your advantage.
Understood. And with the 21st Royal Langkawi International Regatta approaching, what are your hopes for greater women's participation in the sports of sailing?
I think it's great to see the numbers we already have coming in. Of course, I'd like to see that increase. It's still very much a male-dominated sport throughout the world. But with all the assistance we're getting from our great sponsorship through the government and also through individuals. I have to thank LADA, of course, the Langkawi Development Authority, who have always stood behind us in the regatta, as well as the Malaysian Convention and Exhibition Bureau, an agency under the Ministry of Tourism, Belt and Road Regatta, who have started regattas throughout the region as well, the Kedah State Government, ALI Global Sendiri Mahad, and Malaysia International Boat Show. Also, I'd like to say a special thank you to our media partners, Sea Yachting, Digital Vision Advertising, RTM, of course, and of course TRAXXfm, where I am right now. Thank you all for your continued support throughout the years. And it's because of the support from our sponsors and our partners that we can keep going with the regatta, that we can keep inviting people to Malaysia to experience the joys that Langkawi has to offer and that the whole of the country has to offer.
Thank you so much, Tunku. Now, before I let you go, I have a question that's off script, if you don't mind. Now, you have been a sailor all your life. Is there any superstitions that you stick very closely behind about sailing?
If you're eating fish the night before, never turn it over. So if you're going to take the bones out of the fish, you must ensure you eat the top level of the fish, then remove the bones, but never turn the fish over.
That is interesting. And
bad luck.
That is bad luck.
Your ship might capsize.
All right, with that nugget of wisdom we're going to let you go. Thank you so much, Tunku. It's an absolute pleasure having you here today.
Thank you so much, and thank you for TRAXX again for all your continued support.
Lovely. Thanks so much. Have a good day. And that was, of course, Yang Mulia Tunku Soraya Dakhlah, Tunku Tan Sri Abdullah, the rear Commodore of Royal Langkawi Yacht Club and Royal Langkawi International Regatta 2025's organizing chairperson. We spoke about women in sailing, limitless inspiration. The regatta is just around the corner. Guys, if you're in Langkawi or even if you're nearby, remember to catch a view. All right. With that, it's about time for more music to come your way. W Talk is now over.